Well, it's cold, dark, and shitty out here, which makes it a perfect time to dig my way to the garage and get some work done. All right, welcome back to the garage. We're closing in on getting all the rust repair done on this Camaro project. Last bit to do is on the roof here. There's a little bit roached out there and there that'll need to be fixed up. But first, I want to see how bad a job they did putting the quarter panels on this and how bad the seam is here. If you can see that, there's a bunch of Bondo, there's some lead in here, and there's some pretty ugly metal underneath all that. So if I take my Mr. Magnet here and I slide it down around, you can tell how thick the Bondo is and how far down it goes. It's starting to stick a bit there. Oh, look at that. So right here, nothing. Oh, it's starting to stick a little bit, sticking good down here. So I can see where the Bondo is and where the Bondo isn't. And I've been hitting this with a wire wheel, trying to get some of this Bondo off here. I'll come in with a torch and melt the lead out of here. I use a vacuum cleaner with a dust separator on it, and this keeps the dust out of the filter in the shop vac so that it doesn't plug up all the time. And I just hold this right behind the wire wheel. You can see I've got into it a little bit with the wire wheel. Hold that behind the wire wheel, and it sucks up most of the Bondo that's coming off this thing. I'm also wearing a respirator. I've got the door open. I've got the fan going to try and keep the air in here as clean as I possibly can. So I'll set you up on the tripod and you can watch me work. Okay, I'm getting her stripped down here. I used the wire wheel on the thickest part of the Bondo. Then I switched over and used a 36 grit on a roll lock, and then finished up with a clean and strip disc so that I didn't hurt the metal too bad. I'm going to come in with a torch and melt this lead out of here and see what I'm dealing with. Let's do that. Well, I guess that shows how much I know. There wasn't any lead in there. It was just a different type of filler. The fire certainly helped get it out of there, but as you can see, that's what they were hiding. That's what they were covering up. A couple real good dents right there and there. And kind of all along here is just kind of ugly. I'll formulate a plan to deal with this. Hopefully I can use a little less body filler than they had on here. But time will tell. Well, I figure while I'm kicking up dust and making a big mess in here, I might as well pull the car over this way and take the body filler out of the other sail panel. Let's do that. All right, let's do this side. I hope there's a little less ugliness underneath all this Bondo, but we'll find out, I guess. Let's do it. Okay, here's this side with the Bondo off of it, and it's just about as bad as the other side. It's pretty beat up. I've got some good gouges in it. I don't know if you can see that, if the camera's picking that up or not, but wavy gravy, man. I'm going to have to scratch my head a little bit and figure out what I want to do with these areas. Do I cut it out and replace it? Do I get a stud welder and try and pull some of these dents out? Or do I just mud over it? I don't know. I'll think about it. Now, it'd be really handy if I could get in behind this and hammer and dolly it out. Clean it up a bit, but I've got some structure in here. I didn't want to show you guys this, but you know, I don't hold anything back. Whenever they cut this quarter panel off, they just came and went right through the structure with a sawzall, looks like. So I'm going to try and fix this up at some point, but I'm going to think about this, maybe drink a beer. They must have cut the driver's side off first and realized that they went through the structure, and they avoided doing that on the passenger side. But doesn't make it any easier to fix the dents. So again, think of something. Okay, while I scratch my head about the sail panel area there, I can go ahead and get to work on the roof right here. Rusted out there. Poked some holes in it here, see how thin the metal was. as well as this little hole here. Hey, look, there's lead. That's what that looks like. So, in case you're wondering, I'm going to clean this area off, clean the paint off a bit more, open that up a little bit so I can see what I'm working with, maybe even melt the lead out of there, and see what I got. Okay, I cleaned the paint off this area as well as melted the lead out of here. I kind of marked off where I think I want to put my patch. I cut a piece of 18 gauge here that is a little bit bigger than that, as well as I bent up a profile piece. If you take a look down in this, along this roof skin, it's got a little bit of a funky styling to it. So I bent a piece that just fits right nicely against that, and I can use this as a gauge to bend up this patch piece so that it fits right in here and follows the same contour and profile along that roof skin. So I'll show you how I'm going to bend this up. First thing, I've marked it off about 1/4 of an inch here. I'm going to bend a 90 in that, and then I'll throw the rest of the profile to it, and I'll show you that after I get the 90 bent into it. Okay, I bent a nice crisp 90-degree angle into this guy. It's a little bit longer than it needs to be. If we compare it to this test piece here, that little L shape there is a little bit longer, but that's okay, I can cut it off after the fact. Now I'm going to stack up pieces of metal to make up that profile. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I've got my metal stack in here. I've got the thicker piece lower than everything else. And then what I'm able to do is come in with a chisel, lay the chisel right on in there and push that down into that groove and end up making the profile kind of like this. So I'm going to beat on this with a hammer a little bit, see if I can't get it to bend. Okay, and after I get it to bend just a little bit, then I can pull it all apart and use just a flat piece of steel and set it on there and actually get it to curve around it a little bit, match up to that profile. With a little bit of fine tuning, I've got that piece just about the way that I want it, all the way across there. So now I can do a little bit of cleanup on it, maybe grind off some of these tool marks, and then I can start trimming it down and getting it to fit into place there. Okay, here it is lined up against the area of the car that it's going to go on. I think it's got a really nice profile. I think it'll work just fine. Now I can start cutting this guy out, start trimming that guy down until they're about the same size. Let's do that. Okay, I got that opened up. It was pretty tight fit in there, so I picked up, I borrowed the wife's Dremel tool, which makes short work of cutting this stuff out. I hit it with the wire wheel a little bit, try and get the rust out of there. Trimmed up this piece. She's fitting in there real nice. I'm going to spray the inside of this with some Eastwood Fast Etch and try and kill that rust, as well as paint the back side of this piece with weld-through primer, and then should be ready to weld this thing up. And then over here, I'll make a plan to deal with this. Probably just make a tiny little patch piece that I can weld up in there, and then just weld that hole shut. Should be just fine. Okay, a little quality time with the welder and the grinder, and it's done. This over here I didn't bother making a patch for. I just turned up my wire speed and filled in the hole. Worked real good. It's nice and straight. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks pretty good down through there. Maybe move the light out of your eyes just a little bit, and maybe you can see a little better. Yeah, see how that contour just matches up perfectly? Yeah, I'm real happy with it. I think it turned out real good. Actually, I think I'll end this video here. I've ordered a stud gun to pull the dents out of the sail panel area here. I'll do some grinding and clean up on these welds as well, but I'll do that in the next video. That's it. That should be it for rust repair on this car. There's a little spot on one of the doors, but that's it. Other than that, I think I'm done with the rust. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.